Okay, this is a tutorial for the Sado Grid object. I've got my bootstrap loaded here. I've defined a user class. I have in my schema file, I have the table users linked to the class of user. I have my key defined in my fields. Now I can go ahead and declare my grid class. So user grid. So a grid basically represents a HTML table and just an easy way to output table data. So I'm going to go ahead and build a constructor. First I need to set the model for the grid. In this case I'm using the users table, so I'm going to use the user class that's already linked to that table. So this model user. Okay, once I have that set, I can go ahead and just say show all fields just for this example. I can come down here and set an instance. And take a look at my table. Okay. Name that correctly will help. Okay, so here's a table of the data in my users table that I have here set up. So that's being displayed. I can make that a little easier to see by adding a border. So I'll add a border width of 1. So there's my table. That's just showing all the fields. For that example, you can show individual fields by saying this field, full name. So we'll just show the full name. It'll be that field. I can also add a title to a field. Let's say title. And that'll add the title up here. Go ahead and add another field. So that's an example of how to use the grid. Simply put, let me go ahead and just add the active field. Okay, now say I wanted to show only the users that are active. Okay. Then I can go ahead and override a method called getQuery. So it's a protection function getQuery. So I'm overriding the Sado Grid method getQuery. I'm going to say return. I want to select all from So what I'm doing right here is I'm calling the method getSadoORM, which grabs me an instance of the user object, which is an instance of SadoORM, and then I'm grabbing the name of the model. So basically I'm saying select all from users because that's the name of the model. It's just a dynamic way of setting the model name. Let's say where is active equals 1. So once I set that query, I'm going to come back here, refresh, and now it's only pulling the active ones. So that's a way you can customize the query. Otherwise, it's just going to select all the records. There's also another method that can be overridden called getRecords. So in this method, it's kind of the same thing. You can return certain records instead of querying using custom query. You can set your own records here. So a grid doesn't even necessarily have to use an ORM object to display records. It can display records from just a custom record set that you can set yourself. Okay, so one of the nice things that the grid object provides is pagination. So it'll create a certain number of records per page for querying. I'm going to go ahead and just set this back to control fields. Okay, so reset that. And then I'm going to come in here and set use a pagination method. So I'm going to say this pagination. I'm going to set the get variable for the query string. So I'm just going to use PG for page, and then I'm going to set the number of records per page I want. So I'm just going to use 2 in this example. It's a low number, but it's for this example only. Okay. Now I can come down here and work with a method called onRecords. So this is going to be called when after the records are retrieved. So I want to make sure the records are first retrieved and the pagination can be worked out. I'm going to say if this get pagination. So I'm basically grabbing an instance of the Sado pagination. I'm going to say get previous page is greater than 0. So I'm going to check if the number for the previous page is greater than 0. Then I'm going to want to go ahead and output a previous page link for the pagination. So this HTML foot equals, so I'm basically setting an HTML footer that's going to come below the table or the grid. Say equals. Now I'm going to get the entire string, which is going to basically build the get parameter page and equals the page that it needs to go to. Add a space there. Okay, and then likewise I'm going to check here. If a next page exists. I'm going to add to the foot. Okay, so let's test this out. Oops, these should be methods. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so now I have my page set up. Now if you see down here when I hover over this, it's building the variable and equals 2, so we're going to go to page 2 now. When that happens, there's going to be a next page because there's still records, and now there's going to be a previous page back to page 1. So I go to the next page, and it's going to show me the last record, so I can hit previous page, and that's how pagination works. Very easy, and that helps a lot in applications. And that's pretty much all there is to the grid object. There's more methods, more properties. Go ahead and read through the Sado Grid class to understand those.